I believe it is 11:24 today. It's Monday. Let's see what fate decides for us to read today. Bismarck's satanic origin and beginnings, Romanovs, Hohenzollerns, and Habsburgs doomed by Satan. Oh, we're doing this. Okay. The Rothschilds were the chief delegates of Satan, the arch murderer. Through their secret agents, they were seeking for the most ambitious, unscrupulous, and able men whom they caused to be educated and promoted to become their agents. Yep, they rise them up through the ranks. Tricky spies approached such youngsters and implied, "All the kingdoms of the world and the glory I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me." Matthew, from the book of Matthew. Napoleon having been put down, the Rothschilds needed a new man-killer. They created such a one of Otto Bismarck. His father, William, married Louisa Mencken. The Menkens were blues. A little bourgeois of unknown origin. He took her to his country place, which the French troops of Napoleon I soon invaded, and at a nearby chateau, Marshal Soult, a blue, according to Disraeli, established his headquarters. Louise had been in imminent peril of violation, says history. The champagne of the blue marshal from Paris, his Asiatic persuasive power, and the devotion of both the idea of Israel above all, appealed more to the heart of the bluess than the beer and heavy wits of her provincial German husband. Soult has since always shown an extreme attention to Mrs. Bismarck Mencken and to her son, the future man of blood and iron. A blue and one of the 300 of the Hidden Hand, Soult occupied the highest posts in France until his death in 1851 and betrayed every Christian ruler. The 6 years Bismarck passed in Playman Institute in Berlin had left him but regrettable memories. Pellman's Institute with a 6-week course would be better. Like Disraeli, Bismarck was never an able pupil. Bismarck was a very pretty boy, as was Disraeli. His life in Göttingen obliged him to run into debts. For years, their memory has pursued and saddened him. He was found to be corrupting the youth of Jena. So, he always had money problems, is what they're saying. His reserved, disdainful, even haughty character disconcerted his superiors, as it kept at a distance his inferiors and equals. As a blue, he was sure of the superiority of his race. Karl Bonaparte, the father of Napoleon, took the field. His young wife, former Letitia Ramolini, who was pregnant with Napoleon, accompanied her husband, sharing in the hardships and dangers of a partisan warfare. This formed the military inclinations of Napoleon, the same love for blood and iron we see in Bismarck. Does it not prove that the battling blue, Marshal Soult, was his real father and not the quiet Prussian small landowner, the official father of Bismarck? Let's go to this next page. The 3 Christian imperial dynasties, Orthodox, Protestant, and Catholic, were suddenly upset in 1917 and 1918 after centuries of useful reign. It was Satan's revenge for the Holy Alliance of 1815. In order to understand all the mysteries, one must study the so-called satanic forces which rule the world, and to grasp the cause of the downfall of the 3 monarchies, we must return to the glorious year 1815. The leading phrase of the Holy Alliance, Tsar Alexander's League of Nations, was that Austria, Prussia, Russia, and all the Christian nations have one true and only sovereign, to whom alone all power by right belongs, namely God, our divine Savior, Jesus Christ. Divide et impera, thus Satan commands the blues to act. Those aims of Satan to divide and to rule and to destroy the Christians were counteracted by the proposition of the Tsar Alexander I of a Holy Alliance in 1815. Everybody knows that the Tsar Alexander I was its creator. Let us return to the book The Curse of the Romanovs by their worst foe, the blue A. Rappaport. The reestablishment of European peace has given the Tsar Alexander I great satisfaction. But it was a nasty blow to the Rothschilds. Alexander directed his attention to the irreligiousness of the nations as the source of many evils. He conceived the idea of reviving religious fervor in the peoples and thus reestablish a patriarchal regime, purity of family life, and obedience to law and authority. But the rulers must set an example and serve as models for their subjects. The sovereigns of Europe must carry out their mission as rulers of empires and kingdoms in the spirit of the founder of Christianity, which should be the link uniting the sovereigns to their peoples and among themselves. Such plan was exactly the reverse of that desired by the Satanist Rothschilds, whose chief aim was to annihilate it. And all the following czars imitated Alexander I. Hence, this boundless hatred of the Rothschilds against them. Alexander was the man of the best intentions. He showed himself persistently favorable to views which, to say the least, were 100 years ahead of his time. Alexander I came to the throne of Russia in 1801, anxious to carry out his liberal plans. The fruit of Waterloo was lost because the treachery of the blue Marshal Soult enthroned definitely the blue Nathan Rothschild.